Hey guys, it's me Lachlan. I'm here today with a brand new Battlefield video, and as you can tell by the title, today we're going to be discussing Battlefield Hardline. Now in the past 4 days I've had the chance to attend the EGX Expo in London, formerly known as Eurogamer, and I had the chance to hook up with some fantastic community members such as Mr. Pro Westy, Matt the Musketeer, you name it, the list goes on. Pretty much a good proportion in the Battlefield community was there, and it was a real surreal sort of insane experience. And what really stood out to me was, whilst I was playing with these guys, was just sitting down with Battlefield Hardline for the first time since the E3 release public beta a while back, and it was a really epic experience. It really changed my opinion and overview of the game, and I feel as though today I can share my experience of the title with pretty much solidity as to how it's playing, how it's panning out, and the direction that it's heading in, and just give you an overall idea of how I feel as though Battlefield Hardline is going to facilitate itself into this franchise. So as I mentioned, I managed to play Hardline, more specifically the Hot Wire mode, and I managed to play this thing for an excess of about 2 hours plus. In the past 4 days, I must have had at least 20 to 35 odd sessions on the game, in between playing some other titles as well. And I kind of put myself in the shoes of an average Battlefield player who had never really done anything with YouTube, just the average sort of community kind of type, who has that sort of understandable skepticism. And I say understandable skepticism because we've just come off the back of a really rough Battlefield 4 launch. It was incredibly difficult, really shaky, and overall the community as a whole, we can safely say, went downhill for a little while. Now, Battlefield 4 kind of left a bad taste in some people's mouth. Now, to say to people that we're then going to hand this new Battlefield title to a company which has only ever developed Dead Space games before, among other titles, and isn't DICE, and more specifically is going to take it from military to cops and robbers, creates what I call understandable skepticism around the actual title itself. Some people generally confused, other people sort of interested, but in the end most people really never knew how Battlefield Hardline was going to pan out, and let's be honest, the demo itself wasn't exactly the best thing in the world. So as I sat down and played it for the first time since the rather shaky beta that we had back in E3, I was incredibly blown away. You could actually literally see the feedback from the community and all of us players and YouTubers oozing out of the title from the first instance of you sitting down. Now there are a few things which still need some changing, and I'll make suggestions later, but when I got in, the gunplay, the general fluidity of Battlefield Hardline on the Frostbite engine was completely surreal. It made me look at Battlefield 4 and think, how did this get this wrong? Battlefield Hardline, there was never a moment where I felt as though something was inaccurate or something was wrong. There was never a time where I could call out saying, oh yeah, that was hit detection, oh yeah, there was something wrong there was a glitch here, there was a problem here. It was literally 100% solid, and I didn't even know what version of the game this was, but I imagine, considering February is quite a long shot off, it's a relatively early version of the title, and overall, everything from the movement, the shooting, the flashbangs, the grenades, the stabbing, the handcuffing, the revives, all of the mechanics in the title have been completely refined to a zone where I kind of feel as though I could look at Battlefield 4 and be incredibly confused. The comparisons I was making whilst I sat there and played the game was, you know, kind of staggering. From a Battlefield fan for many years, from Bad Company, I sat there and I thought, if the game carries on like this, and this is literally what I play in every other game, every other map, and every other mode, and it continues to be this good, there is no way that people will not enjoy this title. Now, in terms of aesthetics and visually speaking, Battlefield Hardline from the beta has been very much remodeled. The harshness of light, the colour palette, everything about it has kind of been reskinned, and it doesn't look completely like some people would describe it as Battlefield 4 remastered. It literally looks like it's got its very own sort of take on the game. It's very sort of LA-ish, cop, thuggish kind of style to it, with the cars, everything in between, the handcuffing, the batons, the stun guns, the Molotov cocktails and incendiary grenades. It was really well done. Everything was presented in a manner which I felt as though was visually pleasing, but at the same time, when I was playing through the game, there were times where I sat there and thought, wow, that was awesome. That looked incredibly cool, especially when there was the times where something epic would happen, like somebody would fly over a ramp and I'd be shooting the bottom of his car and it'd turn into a ball of flames. And when we saw this trailer for Hot Wire mode, most people sat there and thought, oh yeah, that's just scripted bullshit, all the graphics have been pre-rendered. But literally, as I sat down in there, I thought to myself, that trailer literally could have been ripped from the game. It literally could have been done on the spectator mode. The graphics and how things pan out, bar the massive roadblock at the end, which probably would happen if you were with a coordinated squad, happened whilst I was playing with kinds of people who'd never really played Battlefield before or had played it on the side. There weren't really that many hardcore Battlefield fans there. And there were people speeding down roads, leaning out windows, shooting at each other. And the action and pace and fluidity of the gameplay was incredibly impressive. It's the kind of time in sort of Battlefield 4 where you'd go in and everybody was PTFOing, everybody was playing really intensely, and everybody was having a really good competitive and enjoyable time. And that felt as though it was happening in almost every game except for when maybe one team got completely stomped. There was, because of the fact that it was hotwire mode and because of the fact that people were enjoying the vehicular experience and the gunplay, that it really created a very good environment for playing Battlefield in. It's an environment I haven't experienced since Bad Company 2. And that's a big statement to make. To say that I haven't played a very competitive kind of Battlefield since Bad Company 2 at an event is kind of a tough thing to say, but I definitely say from what I played that it made Battlefield 4 look like a wreck. And it could quite easily rival Battlefield 3. Lots of people are probably sitting there thinking, yep, dislike right now, but seriously, the direction that Visceral has taken is incredible. The feedback you can literally witness in the game. They are ticking all of the boxes. They are asking us on a regular basis. They are doing developer sessions at expos. They are putting stuff on Reddit. They are speaking to us on Twitter. And every single thing we say is being taken into account and put into the game. I literally noticed some of the things that people asked for. I remember seeing Commander mode quite a lot in Battlefield 4, and it looks as though, and I can't really confirm it, it looks as though that hasn't even made a feature in Battlefield Hardline because most people don't like it. It unbalances the game. And another thing that I noticed as well was that the animations, for example, handcuffing someone, was incredibly quick. The revive mechanic, which was like a second life, that's been brought down to 1 health, and when you actually inject yourself and get back up, you're incredibly sluggish, incredibly wounded, and could get killed again by literally a fly. So all of these ideas that we took from the beta and took away into the game, they have really taken to heart. They are really giving this game an entirely new aspect of Battlefield. They are facilitating our community in a way which I feel as though has only really started now with the CTE. They are doing that from the get-go and understanding our direction and how we feel about the title. Now, lots of people are very skeptical about this game. Lots of people were sat there thinking, I don't know Visceral, I don't trust them, I don't know what they're doing, you know, this is cops and robbers, how is it going to work? But from what I played, which was probably one of the most refined versions of a Battlefield title since Bad Company 2 / late Battlefield 3, once it started getting fixed up right, was insane. It was probably, it's the first time I've generally looked forward to a Battlefield title. And I kind of sit here and I think, oh yeah, Final Stand's coming out. But then after Final Stand, I'm going to be sitting there and thinking, okay, I really want Hardline. Really want this game. It's kind of hard to see because it's the kind of time where Battlefield has hit a slump. And it's hard to enjoy it. It's hard to enjoy Battlefield 4 until another DLC is pumped out. And that happens. It's just how it is. But Battlefield Hardline, I'm sort of building anticipation for it now. And there are lots of things which need changing. Aesthetically speaking, you know, the HUD could have a couple of colour options. Maybe some customization to fit into the fantasy of the game. You know, those things could happen. And I've seen people speak about these things. And chances are, because we have spoken about these things, they will happen. I remember, for example, sitting there and I was speaking to the staff members. And I was just shooting at somebody in an oil refinery. And he was like, oh yeah, over there by the fracking thing. Man down. Like, literally. It was incredible. I felt incredibly immersed by this title, even while speaking to somebody. I was focusing so hard on everything, every little detail about it. You know, literally hearing cop callouts like, oh yeah, we've got a 211 or we've got a 417 in progress. And I asked the staff members and it turns out that these are actual police codes that they were using in-game. And literally, after playing it for about 2 hours, I must have sat there and I thought, I really want to pre-order this. I really, really want to give this a whack again. Now, I can make lots of suggestions. For example, I can suggest that the HUD maybe needs a bit of a colour change, sprucing up a bit, giving it sort of a police or criminal aesthetic to it would be really good. Potentially giving characters some customization, which has been mentioned in a number of videos, would be fantastic. Kind of like an almost Army of Two-esque, get some masks on, maybe put some camos or custom abilities onto your weapons. That would be amazing. Adjusting laser colours, you name it, that would be really cool to have. Maybe even having car camos or customized cars that you could do yourself. Customized police cruisers, that would be insane too. You know, just making it a bit more of a cop experience and trying to make it as, you know, as sort of authentic police/robbers experience is all that it needs now. It just needs a little bit of paint and some brushing up here and there, but bar that, I thoroughly enjoyed it. And that was Hotwire mode. And we've still got Rescue mode, which has lots of question marks around it, but just lots of stuff in general about Battlefield that we have questions about are being answered on the regular, which is incredibly encouraging. So guys, that was my take on Hardline, and I know lots of you are going to disagree with me. I know lots of you are sitting there thinking, yeah, but I don't get to use my tank or attack helicopter, or, you know, it's not a war game, it's not Battlefield anymore. But I really, really encourage you, give this game a chance, and give Visceral a chance, because what they're trying to do, what Steve Paputis and all of the staff are trying to do over there is insane, and it's about time that somebody said it. Now, lots of people have sort of been, you know, stepping around saying, yeah, Hardline is okay, but no one's really had the guts or sort of willed power to say, yeah, it's awesome. And that's kind of what I'm doing today, and chances are I'm going to get an onslaught of dislikes and people saying, yep, you're a retard. But the fact is that if you go and play the version that I played, which I imagine will open up to the public within the next few months, I can pretty much assure you that you will eat your words. And you will pretty much sit there and think, why didn't I give Hardline a better chance than what they did previously? So, that's it for Battlefield Hardline. I had plenty of other titles which I played during those 4 days. Shadow of Mordor, Far Cry 4, had a look at Assassin's Creed Unity, so I will be sharing my opinion on them as well. But guys, I honestly have to say, the Battlefield Hardline could potentially make an impact as a regular to stay here in the Battlefield franchise. And a lot of people really would underestimate me saying that. So, lots of new titles to talk about. And this is like the third time I've attempted an outro, but haven't been able to finish it because there's something else that popped into my head. But this is about it. It's been me, Lachlan. I will see you again in another video. And make sure that you have a look at some of the EGX content from the other YouTubers who've been attending. It was a really cool event, and it should be on next year as well. So if you've got a chance, make sure to check it out. And I will see you again in another Battlefield video.